All right. And we're back with another episode of Around the Mat. I'm your host, Conscious Keelan. I can't imagine this being your first time to join, but if it is, we're about to play a game. We've got some competitive jiu-jitsu guys here to talk some grappling and MMA. I'm going to ask some questions. We're going to talk about Rob Font versus Jose Aldo, Ryan Hall making his return after his KO. We're going to talk ADCC, Gi Worlds, etc. I want some hot takes and some opinions from the guy. If they have a good opinion, they will get a point. And if they have a bad one, they will get a poot and they will lose a point. So we're going to roll right into it. Introducing first, the man, the myth, the legend, Brandon McCucurin.
Hello, all you fine internet friends.
All right, switching it up today. We also have, again, joining us, our resident expert, Matt Skaff.
What's up, guys? Really excited to talk about the UFC coming up.
We also got another 10th Planet Black Belt under Brandon himself, Sean Applegate.
What's going on, guys? Glad to be back.
And then joining us for the first time on Around the Mat, a 10th Planet Brown Belt, Mario Gower.
What's up?
All right, so let's roll right into it. We've got some good topics. Skaff mentioned it first, the UFC coming up. So let's talk about the main event. We got Jose Aldo making his return against Rob Font. This should be a good one. Let me hear some thoughts on where Jose Aldo is in his career. Like, I'm sure a lot of us expected him to kind of, call it quits pretty soon. And it seems like he's got a bit of a resurgence. I know he's only 35. A lot of us probably think of him as older. He's been in the game so long. But 35 isn't the oldest, especially in the UFC. So let's hear some thoughts on Jose Aldo versus Rob Font.
Well, I thought Jose Aldo was I kind of thought he was already done, to be honest with you. I was kind of letting go of I used to be a big Jose Aldo fan. Like I love to watch him fight. Some of the things that he's pulled off been incredible. But I was kind of, I guess we've seen the best of Jose Aldo. I was getting kind of sad. But here he comes, man. He's been rising up through he's down to 135, right? That's his new weight class.
Yep.
Dropped weight, which I thought he was already pretty decently sized for 45, drops down to 35. And he looks great. He doesn't look slow. He doesn't look old. He looks like he's one of the best guys in that division. So Rob Font's really good. Maybe we have seen the best of Jose Aldo, but I don't think Jose Aldo's done. So I think this is a great fight.
Skaff?
Great fight. Jose Aldo, he's a legend. A lot of people still probably have him as the GOAT of the 145-pound division. I mean, he went on a 10-year streak, and that Conor knockout, I think it took a lot out of him. I think that was one of those mental things that took him a few years to overcome. I mean, he went from being the king of the division to a 10-second knockout, and just like Ben Askren, like every single UFC card is opened with like Ben Askren getting knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. Like if you see a highlight, and Conor McGregor knocking out, Jose Aldo, and that's really tough, especially again when you are the king. And he's still probably the top guy from Brazil. Like I think most Brazilians still absolutely love Jose Aldo. So he still has star power for a majority of, or definitely a lot of UFC fans, particularly people in South America. But I like Rob Font in this fight. I think Rob Font, he's really surprised me, I should say, his last couple of fights. I had him as an underdog, and he's overcome a lot of the top challenges in that division. And I think he's going to overcome Jose Aldo. I think Jose is still a top 5 fighter at 135, but I don't see him ever becoming champion or even getting another title shot.
Sean?
I like Jose Aldo. He's cool. I don't know, dude. As usual, when I come on these, I don't follow a ton of MMA, but I think Jose Aldo's really good, and I hope he wins. That's
Mario?
all I got.
Oh man, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of in the same boat. I like watching Jose Aldo though. He's fun to fight. Excuse me, he's fun to watch fight.
Dude, I bet he's not fun to fight at all.
Nah, there's no way. That's a sell 100%. There's no way.
I still would want to do that. But yeah, I mean, I hope that it's a good fight, and I hope that he does well. I don't know anything about Rob Font, to be honest.
So not coming up on this fight night, but next week, the next pay-per-view card, Ryan Hall makes his return. And there's a lot of good fights on that card. He's on the early prelims, but he's our grappler. He's our jiu-jitsu specialist.
He's my boo-boo.
He's coming off of a big loss. What are your thoughts, towards Ryan Hall overall, UFC, mixed martial arts, and just this upcoming fight?
Well, as you know, if you watch this show very often, I'm a huge Ryan Hall fanboy. Huge. Having said that, the last time that he fought, it looked like this should have been his pre-fight speech. Oh, hey guys, yeah, I've been training in the garage with a couple of my friends for the last 10 years, and we've been working on some new stuff, and we're going to try it out here tonight, and we think it's going to have some great results. That's what it looked like his strategy was going into the last fight. I think Ryan struggles at boxing range. He likes to kickbox. He can wrestle and do takedowns well. And of course, he's an amazing jiu-jitsu fighter. But I think until he learns to deal with that boxing range, that he's going to continue to struggle. So I really want to see what he's put together in that. I know he trains up there a lot with Faraz. So, that guy's he knows what he's talking about. I'm really hoping that he can start to close some of those holes in Ryan's game, because for my money, as a jiu-jitsu dork, which I'm confessedly a jiu-jitsu dork, Ryan Hall is the guy that I want to see fight the most.
Sean?
So actually kind of crazy. One of my blue belts just got back from training up there for about 4 months with Ryan. He's an MMA fighter. And he went up there for school, for college, and he dropped in, and he's like an exceptional athlete, I think, for MMA. Like he's really good. So they saw that, and they were like, "Cool, man. Well, we'll give you a scholarship. You can just train with us." So he was training with Ryan for this camp. He just got back like last week. He's saying that Ryan's striking is amazing right now. He's saying that his grappling obviously was already good, but they have a ton in that room, a ton of like D1 guys and like good kickboxers and stuff that he's training with to try and sort of, obviously like move away from just rolling into people's legs and never knowing what to do if he can't do it. But he is only training at his place. He doesn't train out elsewhere anymore. He doesn't do that. So he's got like Ton Lee there.
Yeah, I knew that.
If you guys know Ton from one, well, really from New Orleans. Like if you know him from, I'm sure Brandon as well, because you've worked with the guys at Mid City, right? Like those guys.
Yeah.
So Ton Lee's amazing striker, very unorthodox guy. He's there with Ryan. They're working a lot of judo type stuff to counter wrestle. So man, I like Ryan Hall in this next fight. I think he learned a lot in his last fight, especially according to the guy that just got back talking about it. But man, I think he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna get back on top, get back on that kind of that train he was on. You know what I mean?
Mario?
I'm a big fan of Ryan Hall, and I don't think his last fight we got to see anything like versatile out of him. I think he was trying to go for kind of the same thing and figure it out during the fight, and then like something weird happened, and then he got knocked out because his arm got stuck in a weird spot or something like that. But I'd like to see more out of him, and I think he's got a good chance. He seems like somebody who learns from what went on in his last fight. He can review the footage, and he's got plenty of people, sounds like, to help him out. So that's cool.
Skaff?
Well, what's really cool about this is I thought the UFC would have written off Ryan Hall, like after that last performance. Typically, when you see guys that are very grappling heavy, the UFC's not, like obviously you can earn your way to the championship through that, but they're not giving them any layups. You know what I'm saying? Like the grapplers definitely have a harder path than the really talented strikers. But I'm really shocked. Like the UFC is giving Ryan Hall a layup right here. Like this is a layup fight because the guy he's fighting is super experienced. He's got, 30 plus MMA fights. He's got 26 wins, but of those 26 wins, 22 are by submission. He only has one knockout in his career. Ryan's last fight was like a test fight for him. He fought a really talented kid from Spain that everyone's like, really hyped about. And that was kind of, I think that like, is Ryan ready to take that next step? And he got beaten pretty badly. So this is a layup fight to get him back on track. And I expect a submission victory. I mean, again, the guy he's going against, one knockout in, 40 fights. And his main way that he wins is by submission. So if Ryan has a poor showing, it's really going to I don't know what's next for him in the MMA realm, because this is a fight. Like if there ever was a fight Ryan should win, this is the one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. This is a layup for him. Oh, I'm frozen. This is a layup fight for him. It's something that they're putting in front of him, this stylistic matchup, for a reason. And to be honest with you, that's kind of encouraging because that says that they want to see him continue to develop. They didn't take him with the, oh, you got beat, let's throw you out here and really beat you out of the division now. So they didn't start throwing him up the ladder to guys that were bad matchups. They threw him a good matchup, which is really, really interesting to me. So I think that says that they have a little bit of confidence, at least, in the fact that they want him to keep him around for a little while. Hey, y'all look at my hat. I wore a green hat, and Keelan got really mad at me. He said I had to change hats, but I said I'd rather have a see-through head than wear have a flat bill hat on.
Yeah, Lindsay wasn't here to save the day today.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
All right, so next thing on the list, let's talk Gi Worlds. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. Why? How come there's no money in Gi Worlds?
Do you hear that sound we all just made in response to you saying Gi Worlds?
Yeah,
that's why there's no money.
What's the reason?
Who loves jiu-jitsu more than this crowd right here? Who loves jiu-jitsu more than us? And as soon as you said Gi Worlds, why would we even want to talk about it? It's so boring even to people who love jiu-jitsu. It's boring. It is, dude. It doesn't mean it's not skillful. I don't like golf either. I think golf's boring. Nothing's happening.
That might deserve 2 points. Skaff.
Okay, here's the thing. I think this Gi Worlds is it's going to be really big. Obviously, last year, with COVID, every tournament that's taken place this year has been the best in a while, right? This ADCC trials was off the chain because we skipped a year, right? Build up the anticipation. It's going to be the same thing for Gi Worlds. I think it's going to be a huge turnout. I think it's going to be probably the best one that's happened in years. But at the same time, I think it's also embarrassing that the way the athletes get treated, and especially that the top black belts aren't getting paid. And so while I think it's going to be, a really good showing for the gi community, because they need it, right? The gi community is just taking L's left and right. Like, when was the last time the gi community took a big W? It's been a while.
When you say that you feel like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing that there's no money in it, that to me sounds like the people who are complaining because the WNBA is not getting paid like the NBA. The people are not watching it. Nobody watches it. Of course, they're not getting paid the same. People don't care. Sponsors aren't as interested. Not money sponsors. They're not as interested. The athletes aren't as exciting. It's buttoned down. It's like when the NFL had all the no celebration rules. Like, people complained about that stuff. Like, the gi's all buttoned down. They don't let people share their personality. You got to wear this. I mean, the game it's tamped down on purpose. It's slowed down on purpose. That's why there's no money in it.
Well, but there is, because just think about what it takes to register and just get into Gi Worlds, right? Like, you have to qualify. So you have to do a certain amount of events just to get the points to go. So the IBJJF is collecting all of that money. Then you have to register each year as a black belt. The registration fees as a black belt's hundreds of dollars, let alone
Yeah, but you're
again,
talking
the
about
cost.
you're talking about the participants. Obviously, the people there aren't people watching and putting money in from the outside. We're bleeding the practitioners. That's a totally different thing. We can bleed the practitioners because they're passionate about it. They love it. Bleed them. I mean, I get it. It's a real business model. There's a community that wants to do that, but the community of people that want to watch that does not exist. It doesn't
Ticket
exist.
sales. How many tickets are being sold for?
And I'm not saying no-gi is blowing the world up or anything like that, but like, we're stacking them side by side? I mean,
viewers, man.
It's an obvious
Viewers.
choice.
If you turn on Flow, and they had like a chat on Flow, like watching Gi Worlds, you get in there and it would literally just be like, "What's up, guys? Hello? Anyone?"
That's a
No
point.
one's watching. Bro.
That's a point for built-in sound effects for
You know what I mean?
Right.
No one's watching it, and that's the issue. Is that it's like, like talk to people that do it. Go talk to people that do like really take Gi World seriously, and you go, all right, cool. So, what matches are you excited to see? Mine. Like they don't. They just. I feel like when I talk to people here in Atlanta that like want to do it, it's begrudgingly. Like they're just like, I got to do it. I just got to win it. If I can win it, that'd be great. Like, gotta get through this. And it's just like, man, you're talking about like your passion right now, and you just sound so upset to me. I just don't get it, man. I think that's why, because people just don't watch it. That's why there's no money.
Wallow J said he'd rather watch the Cornhole Championships on ESPN 8. Mario, you've done some competing. What are your thoughts towards the Gi and Gi Worlds?
I think Gi was exciting before no Gi blew up. Like when I went to Worlds as a white belt, watching this is kind of horrible to say, but watching Gabby Garcia like one-handed just like pick somebody up from turtle like they were kettlebell. It's kind of horrible to watch, but kind of exciting. I think Marcelo was still competing at that time. Watching like Rafael Mendez until it's fun watching them destroy everybody until like the top 4 guys had to fight, and then everything got kind of weird and slow.
But you know what, man? You're talking about exceptional athletes right there. You're talking about Gabby Garcia. She's a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. You're talking about Marcelo Garcia. He's a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. The athletes themselves can be exciting. There can be exciting moments. But if we're talking about, hey, I want to sit down and watch the world championships in the Gi black belt division, nobody is watching that tournament. But you can take, now I'm not saying all no Gi matches are exciting. Don't say I'm saying that. That's not it. But if you take some people who you don't know black belt Gi and some people you don't know black belt no Gi, I think we all know which one's going to be more exciting to watch.
Yeah.
So y'all kind of mentioned it. Y'all touched on it. Ticket sales. Let's talk ADCC. Let's put them in there as well.
This is a great point.
Yeah, let's chat about it. Go ahead, Brandon.
They sold 7,000 tickets in the first couple of hours. I know that. I tried to get in on the first level. I waited until like 3 p.m, and I missed the first 2 levels of sales. So I bought Lindsay and I tickets. We're going. Talk about ticket sales. They're making ticket sales, and they're totally disinterested in having a Gi division. A Gi division at ADCC. Why is nobody talking about that? That's the one that sells tickets. Is the no Gi. Go ahead.
What if? Because it's possible, it can happen. What if the Gi guys were just like, you know what, dude? They keep saying this. We're all showing up in Gis to ADCC. We're all competing in Gis because you can do it. You can compete at ADCC in the
Yeah,
Gis.
Emil just did it at the qualifier.
Yeah. What if all the Gi guys were just like, all right, that's it. We're all putting on Gis. We're all showing up in Gis. And they just went to an ADCC that was already sold out, already all this. You show up there to ADCC, you're pumped to watch ADCC, and it's just like 15 out of 16 guys in each bracket have Gis on. And you're just like, did I get scammed?
Well, at least we'd still have the best athletes.
Then you know what they say after that? They go,
I would have won if I had.
They go, it was a Gi event that sold out. in minutes. And you're like, I mean, not really. And they're like, no, it
fake
was.
news, man.
Yeah,
Don't clip that, Keith.
please.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think this has been really interesting with Flow, like the Flow crew taking over. It's been fascinating to see them just kind of blackball athletes. I feel like there was just certain guys you would see at every show that you didn't want to see. Like, why is like this guy getting invited? His match is always this. It's him on his feet, not going for takedowns. Just they're collar tying and hand fighting for position for 8 minutes, and then the final 2 minutes somebody tries to take down, and then they win, and they're beating their chest. They're not inviting those guys anymore, and I really think we're going to see these gi guys that think they're going to get invited, that maybe got invited in the past because of who they were. They're not going to get invited anymore because they're not active on the no-gi scene. And there's like the Who's Number One event, the guys they're inviting are the same guys that are going to get ADCC invites. And a lot of these gi guys are going to be really, really upset when they don't get that invite, and they're going to be going, oh, I'm so-and-so. Well, it doesn't matter because you're boring and nobody wants to watch you.
I got a hot take here in the chat.
All right.
Facebook user, don't know who it is. They said Flow and the people behind it are legitimately toxic to the sport and the community. I know that's a big talking point with Flow and opinions related to Flow. So let's chat for a minute. Thoughts towards Flow? Toxic, good, making a change? What's going on? Brandon?
No, I don't feel like they're toxic. I feel like they do things to try to drive, I don't want to say ratings, but they try to drive numbers to the social media, and they try to drive people to watch their thing. But who's not doing? That's what we're doing right now, So I don't know if I think that they're toxic. No, I mean, what about them is toxic?
Skaff?
Well, here's the thing. Who is more toxic, the IBJJF or Flow? That's not even a question.
That's a great question.
I mean, the Flow, what they're doing, especially how, their agenda is the same thing as the UFC. What athletes are getting views? What sport is getting views? No gi. They don't care if you're 10th Planet, Gracie Baja, catch wrestler, Pat Downey. It doesn't matter. If people want to watch you, they're bringing you on. IBJJF, that's a whole nother discussion.
Sean?
From my perspective, I feel like Flow is pretty toxic, man. I feel like their tactics are normal. I don't really think there's anything going on that they're doing that's like in the world of social media specifically bad that only they're doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with Brandon on that in that regard. Like, they're obviously just trying to sell, which is fine.
That's their job.
Do it.
They're a promoter. That's their job.
Right. I can't be mad at. Yeah. I mean, you know what it is. It is what it is. But I do think that method can be very toxic for our community, and I can give you a handful of examples. Some things that come to mind are like controversial things that are going to get a lot of views and a lot of plays. Like, yeah, post them because that's what happens. But if you're posting the ones, like if you're top one, like on your tier list of like, this is the kind of content that gets the most views, if it's the content that causes arguments the most, or if it's content that causes like disconnects in the community, and that's what you're using to promote yourself, I think that's very toxic in our community. And so like a good example of that was like whenever that little scuffle at the trials with Quentin Rosenzweig and Achilles Hocha, right? So I was literally was standing right there, like next to Mo, actually talking to him as the match started. Tex and Wagner go out and sit in opposite chairs. I literally look at Mo and I was like, dude, listen, those two shouldn't be cornering.
That's volatile, yeah.
Next to each other, right? And Mo's like, oh, I don't think anything will happen. And fast forward about 3 minutes, and here's Achilles kicking Quentin literally balling his foot back and stomping Quentin in his face off the edge of the mat. Like this is literally like stuff that you get disqualified for in UFC fights, what this kid's doing to him. And I'm like, yo. And so Quentin gets mad, and the whole thing unfolds. And it happens how it happens. And it's unfortunate that it happened that way. It is what it is. However, when Flow capitalized on that, they basically made it out that Quentin was this sore loser, and it was like this ugly thing that he did to this kid. And I'm like, That's not really what happened. So this is what's going to happen now is there's going to be a bunch of arguments in the comments, and a kid is going to get drugged back into this conversation, and all this negativity is going to arise. The same thing with the Mikey lock, just on a different scale. They saw a bunch of people were arguing about the Mikey lock being valid, and then they're just like every couple days they repost, hey, look at Mikey Musumeci's new submission, and they're neither confirming nor denying that it's his submission that he created. They're just trying to spark that argument all over again. And it's like, how many arguments can we start within the community to keep people interested in what we have going on? And while that's a great tactic for driving your numbers up, I just think within jiu-jitsu, it is toxic, man. It is toxic.
I don't know. I feel like certainly Flow does some their business models in particular sometimes. I wouldn't do it that way. I don't like it. I don't like being done that way, and I don't like that y'all do it that way. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, though, what organization is doing more for professional grappling right now than Flow?
Yeah, but no, seriously though, like that's what I'm saying.
I'm not
like
we gotta balance this thing out. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And they can't do that without taking on the UFC model.
You're right. 100%. You're right. Like they are promoting grappling in a way that no one else is doing right now.
Right.
They are like killing that game, whether their method is like, poor or good, or you agree with it or you don't. Like the numbers are the numbers, and they are doing their job, and they are bringing money and eyes to the sport and all those things. It's great. It's great. Yeah, we do have to balance it because it does sound like we're kind of just taking a crap on them right now, which is not my goal. I'm just saying I do think that that's a toxic way of doing things. You know what I mean? But I agree with you.
It's not the way I like to do things. It's not how I run my show. But I mean, even Eddie, sometimes Eddie does things. That's not the way I run my show. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Even amongst my own teachers and my own gym, you know what? I probably wouldn't have said it that way, but it's your class. I'm gonna let you do what you want to do. Maybe not teachers, but just like leaders or whatever. Like there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. And I think if Flow's grappling, if Flow Grappling's objective is to get eyeballs on the sport, first of all, I think they should give us numbers and metrics and release those and let the people see them. How much money, maybe not even how much money is this making, but how many eyeballs is this getting? We need to be able to, I think we should be able to measure that up and see what's working and what's not working. But if their objective is to bring eyeballs and that's what makes the sport grow, maybe we just have to say, look, is this part of, do we just got to eat the sandwich with the pickle on it? You know what I'm saying? Well, some people like pickles. That's not me though.
I got to say, the Quentin situation I thought was disgusting. Anybody that watched that match and then saw the way that Flo covered that incident can see that it was that's not what happened. I thought Quentin did a phenomenal job, especially after he got kicked. And you just look over, Wagner and his son are laughing, like Sean said, that's getting you kicked out of, a lot of combat sports right there. Just instant disqualification. So it was very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate what ended up unfolding. But I think Sean's take right there was spot on. The issue with, everyone complaining about the paywall, right? Well, the UFC's got free events, but they also have major network deals. They have to have free events.
And they also have a paywall too.
Yes, and they have a paywall too. But again, it's like, well, they have free ESPN, like it's on ESPN. But some of their fights are only on ESPN Plus that you have to play. And I get it's only $5.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. But it's still behind
like a commercial.
The ESPN, right? And yes, it is on ESPN for free. But again, ESPN's playing billions of dollars. They paid for that deal. And so, the UFC has to provide so many events for ESPN. And obviously, if Flow had a major TV deal, they would be doing the same thing. They just don't have that. The only way they're getting money in is through that paywall.
So this kind of brings me into the next question. Darrick Chilson commented, he said he hopes to see more high rollers events and events like it to try something different, which kind of rolls me into the PGF, something different. Brandon, you said you wouldn't do things just like Flow. Well, turns out you have your own grappling league. Let's talk PGF for a minute. We have a competitor in season 3 and we have a coach here. So,
and the commentator.
Yeah, so let's chat PGF for a minute. Brandon, what are you most excited about looking at season 3? What are we getting ready for?
The thing I'm most excited about is that we're doing it like Shark Week. So it's going to be live every night. It's going to be on every night on YouTube for free for everybody to watch. And it's going to be live. So the chat will be able to participate. You'll be able to throw money at your favorite players and the matches that are the most exciting. And I think that's an interesting model. I know I'm doing things on a very small scale over here, and that's intentional. It's so that we can be mobile and try new things and do interesting things. And one of the things that I really think is going to play out well is that the fans are going to be able to pay the athletes directly, either through super chat, or we're going to try to put their crypto wallets on the screen too, if anybody wants to give them crypto. So yeah, it's true. Man, what better way to pay? You just send crypto directly to your favorite athlete, no middleman involved. It's just, hey, I appreciate you guys and what you're doing. Let me scan that QR code and send, 0.0000001 Bitcoin to your wallet.
Skaff, I'd like to hear from you. What is so different, I guess, about the PGF versus these other things? We've been talking Gi Worlds, we've talked ADCC, we talked High Rollers, we talked Eddie's events. What's different about the PGF? What are some of the things that you like also that's different about the PGF?
I love the point system. I think the point system, 6 minutes for a kill or, a choke, and then 3 points for a joint lock with the added bonus of 1 point if you finish in the first minute. I mean, that really drives the matches. And we've seen in the past, guys that go out there and they're strong grapplers. They're really good. They're fundamentally sound grapplers. They struggle with the rule set, particularly if they're not good at getting to dominant positions where they're able to secure the kill. Like, you have to be able to get the kill, and it really exposes guys that aren't well-rounded. I mean, it's why Elijah Carlton, the face of the PGF, he works with, Sean Applegate's, one of his head coaches. And you can see the way, Elijah's just perfect. He can go upper body, lower body. If he needs 6 points, he can get the 6 points. He's able to, against the best players, really expose their weaknesses. So, his match with Sam Barboza, he knew Sam Barboza very, 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 Sam Barboza is one of the toughest dudes in the world to tap upper body. So he went and he got his 3 points. I think he got 4 because he just switched it up. He maxed out his points against Sam Barboza. And I love that. I love the strategy that's involved. I love that you get to see different things from each competitor. And we always have upsets. That's the other thing. Just giving guys that are blue belts that are talented these opportunities to go against higher belts, and not just, hey, you're in this 16-man bracket, you lose once you're over, and you're going to be going against the toughest guy. I mean, let's just take Evan Stapler from last season. Evan Stapler in any other rule set is a nobody. He got crushed in his first match. His first 2 matches, he faced the 2 favorites, Hunter Colvin and Elijah Carlton. And he got beat in a minute in each one of those matches. But he ended up having a remarkable season, easily one of the biggest storylines. And having these 15, 20 match seasons where you're just giving blue belts this experience and these opportunities to create upsets and to create highlights is, I think, the best thing for an up-and-coming grappler.
Mario, you've got some an interesting take on this because you've been involved in one of the seasons and now you're about to be involved in another. What are your thoughts as a competitor being in the PGF versus some of these other tournaments or competitions that you've been in?
It's my favorite point system by far. Having been someone who's been forcibly DQ'd and on other things. But I also like that it's not like a 30-minute long match. It's still 6 minutes to go in and like actually do something. My other favorite part is that what's happening in this new season. There's like 4 teams and 4 coaches. I feel like the PGF just keeps evolving, more fun and cool things going on. Yeah, a lot of really good people in this one.
Sean, you're a coach this season. First time kind of being involved in PGF. What are you looking forward to? What do you hope to see out of your guys? What's going on for you in this season?
I think the dynamic is pretty cool, man. I like this like team dynamic. It's just a little different, you know, and I think that's like the one thing that is interesting in jiu-jitsu is how open it is to like just trying like different rule sets and event
Yes.
models and just like in MMA, you just know what you're getting. Like if anyone tries to do anything different in MMA, they're instantly like burned down. They're just like, bro, we went to these fights. You see what they tried to do over there? There's a round cage or a boxing ring. They don't like it. Like Pride was in a boxing ring. People hate boxing rings. I'm like, bro, like it's nuts. So jiu-jitsu is a beautiful thing. We get to try whatever we want. And no one really shames you for it. Like if they lose, those competitors might be a little salty, but other than that, who really cares? You know, we keep moving. But I think it's cool, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And the people who are involved in it are like pretty funny and like pretty cool, like the Elkins brothers, and like I just think that like the energy is gonna be high. You know what I mean? And for
Yeah.
me, and where I'm at with what I'm doing in jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, that's what makes things interesting to me. Is like I've been to 1,000 Nagas. I've been to like all, you know what I mean? Like I don't really get too excited for stuff, but like stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, like it's gonna be fun. We're all gonna have a good time. We're gonna cut up. Like, the matches are gonna be good. Like, I think it's gonna be a blast. I'm excited for the energy.
Sean, I've got to ask you. Okay. Obviously, you're one of the coaches from this season, but you've got multiple of your own guys that are taking part. You've got Elijah Carlton. And so obviously you got first pick. I mean, anybody that's first pick is taking Elijah Carlton. He's the favorite. Looking at that list, I mean, I'm a huge, everybody knows, I'm a huge Elijah Carlton fan. So he's the number one pick. But how do you are you going to prioritize taking your guys just because you know them? Like Kevin Sherrill's a beast. I don't know how he stacks up with the rest of the field. I've watched, Kevin Sherrill. I know he's really, really good. But are you going to prioritize trying to get your guys because you have that relationship, or are you just going to try and take who you think the best available player is?
Nah, baby, we trading up. What you mean? No, I'm kidding. No, the overall strategy is actually strictly to just get my guys. To not actually try to have a bunch of. Anyway, yeah, I want to get my guys.
What if I had $1,000 for the winning coach? What would you do?
Look, I'm already gonna sweat anyway. Like I'm already gonna be like. I'm already trying to win because I'm not coming there not to. So I'm already doing that. So if you put $1,000 and I'm already at maximum effort, man, what do you really want from me here? But no, seriously though, I do want to get obviously whoever gets the first pick is going to pick Elijah. I already told Elijah that going in. I was like, look, man, I'll try to get you if I can, but if I can't, you better seal up them holes in your game, baby, because we know what we going for.
Oh God, I hope that happens. I hope. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Dude, Chase was like messing with him. Chase was like, he came and trained last week to help Ryan get ready for this Rashad match, and Chase was like, yeah, man, like if I was you, man, if you don't get on that team, man, I'd probably just quit. I'd probably just leave before it started. I don't know, man. It's just like messing with them. But no, the strategy is to try to get my guys like we've had a camp that already started for it, based on the rule set and working tactics and strategies that play into the point system. They're getting ready right alongside the other guys that have significant things going on, obviously. So the two Kevins have been working tirelessly. Like today, I just trained today with Kevin and Kevin Buring, and Thursday mornings are rough. Like by the time you get to the later days in the week, you're so spent from the training. So I saw him this morning. I was like, "How do you feel, buddy?" And he's like, he's 19 years old. He's like, "Oh God," he's like stretching like on the side of the mat, and I was like, "It's gonna be a rough one today." I'm telling you. So they're getting ready. I hope to get them. If I can't get them, if the other coaches kind of snatch them up and stuff, like they are very good, like they'll be great on whoever's team, you know what I mean? And I'll work with what I got. I like Gio a lot. Caleb is obviously very good. There's a lot of talented guys in the season.
Dane Leak. People sleeping on Dane Leak, but man, he had a great showing at the qualifier in Austin. Subbed everybody, and then he looked good at the ADCC qualifier as well. I think he had 3 subs out there too.
He's very good. That's what I'm kind of looking at. But most important, I'd like to get my guys or whatever, but we're just gonna have a blast and enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Brandon, what was the original goal with the PGF? Why did you make this? Was it because you felt like this point system needed to be a thing? Was it because you wanted something for your competitors? Why the PGF?
I've been wanting to have a league for a long time. Really, the initial idea, the first way I tried to do it was as in-house tournaments that we were going to do regularly, and just anybody could come and do it for like low cost. I just wanted to have stuff where the people who that were on our team that wanted to compete could get to compete more often. It's like wrestling has a season, basketball has a season, but with grappling, it's like you're just trying to stay ready all the time for some mythical like Naga worlds that may not roll around to your city this year. You know what I'm saying? And so I think like having a season to your year is super important. And then just getting as much competition experience as you can is super important. Not just being good at jiu-jitsu, but if you want to be a great competitor, getting as much competition under your belt as possible is super crucial. So that was the original idea. And yeah, it's just kind of, I'm following the muse wherever it takes me for the most part.
Mario, how have you switched up your training at all to get ready for the PGF? Sean was talking about, kind of creating a camp for his guys. Have you switched up your training at all?
I mean, normally, ever since first season, I put on, so that's been a thing. Nothing to prepare directly. I'm actually, it's not how I was trained to do, but I'm trying to just take every match for where it's at. I just study people's games and figure out how to beat them. Because I will get way too in my head about it.
So you don't study the other athletes at all then? You just want to go out there and slap hands and figure it out?
That's what I want to do, because it's a lot less mental work, a lot less anxiety for me, considering that I'm like partial coach and competitor, and I'm not really good at taking both roles at the same time.
Yeah, I always felt the same way about myself as well. It's hard for me to get the most out of training and get the most out of your training as well, like at the same time. Some people are good at that, man. I mean, you see Andre Galval, he's one of the best competitors of all time, and he runs, make a pretty strong case, the best gym in the world. So, yeah, that's just never been one of my strengths either, though, Mario. I feel that.
So I've got another question unrelated to what we've been talking about. Back to the UFC a little bit. Dominick Cruz versus Pedro Munoz
on the prelims
is on the prelims. Give me some thoughts towards that. Let's start with you, Skaff. What is Dominick supposed to be on the prelims? Is this shocking? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, it's definitely shocking to see him not even main event the prelims. He's just a fight on the prelims. You got Pedro Munoz who, knocked out Cody Garbrandt, and you see Cody Garbrandt on the main card versus Kai France, right? And that's going to be a sick fight. But I mean, Dominick Cruz and Pedro Munoz is a bigger fight, I think, for that division. But Cody Garbrandt's a bigger star than both of them right now. He's just, I don't know. People, I mean, dude, Cody Garbrandt lost like 4 fights in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And he had
but he starched Pedro. Yeah.
But I mean, Pedro knocked him out, and Pedro's and Dominick
he's embarrassed.
Cruz,
he's embarrassed both of those guys. Cody has embarrassed both of those guys in a fight.
Pedro Munoz?
I think Pedro knocked out Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
It was the other. Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
Who was the one where Cody changed levels and came up and blasted him right there?
That was his last fight against Thomas.
Who was that?
It was Thomas Almeida.
Dude, I had that. I was thinking that was Pedro.
No, remember Pedro?
You're right.
He tried to meet Pedro.
I'll back
in the
off.
middle.
I'll take my
Pedro
poop.
went and slept him.
I'll take my poop.
Yeah, but that to me is kind of shocking. It's like, I hear you. Cody did annihilate Dominick Cruz. He made Dominick look made him look out of touch. He wasn't really competitive in that match. He knocked down Dominick multiple times, but I mean, Cody's been on he was on a big slide. Yes, he did have that insane knockout, but I'm still not ready to go. Cody Garbrandt's ready for a title run, you know. I think both Dominick Cruz and Pedro Munoz are in better situations in their career right now than Cody Garbrandt.
You know what's good about Cody Garbrandt though, from a watching a fight perspective? I don't know what's going to happen. He could come out and he could do something incredible and look like he's about to make his title run, or he could come out and completely take a dump in the middle of the octagon. You know, like he could either one of those things, and that makes it exciting that you don't know what to expect with him. So, and yeah, he's much more likely to get under somebody's collar. You know, with
I mean, of those three fighters, when you see Cody throw, you just there's something like all on spot. You're just like, oh my God, you know. Even when he got knocked out by Pedro Munoz, you didn't think that was going to happen because of the way Cody was throwing.
Yeah, agreed.
Last question, UFC related, and then we'll kind of tally up these points. Main event of that card is the lightweight title shot. Dustin Poirier versus Oliveira. Oliveira's he's kind of our jiu-jitsu guy that's doing the best right now, right? I mean, his jiu-jitsu is incredible. I want to say he's got the most submissions in UFC fights. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
He's right up there.
And and he's got the belt. So this is our jiu-jitsu guy that's really showing out. Of course, he's got great striking now, and that's came a long way. Is Dustin Poirier the guy to beat him, or is Charles Oliveira going to keep that belt?
So I could really see this going either way. I think Oliveira has several ways that he can beat Dustin. I think Dustin has one way that he can beat Oliveira, and that's to knock him out or dominate him striking. I think it's possible that Oliveira could beat him in the striking. I don't think that Dustin can beat Oliveira on the ground. So I think if Dustin is going to win the fight, he's going to have to keep it on the feet, and I think Oliveira can take the W regardless of where the fight ends up. So I think it's a toss-up, though. It's a tough matchup for me to call.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fight that, like, I feel like I follow those fighters, you know what I mean? I feel like I might, like, piece something together. I think Oliveira can submit him easily, but the thing about Oliveira is, like, Oliveira gets hit, he kind of, like, takes damage. I mean, look at that Michael Chandler fight. Like, he takes some damage, and Dustin hits like a freight train, bro. Like at 155, that dude is just remarkable, man. And I guess it's just that age-old question of like, one guy has a striking advantage, one guy has a grappling advantage, who can impose their will and get this thing where they need to get it. You know what I mean? And I want to see Oliveira win. Like I love Tim Crater. Dustin seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
You know, I like his attitude. I like the way he handles things. You know, his personality is good. I kind of just want the jiu-jitsu guy to win because I do jiu-jitsu, man. If I'm being real honest.
Dustin's a jiu-jitsu guy too. It's just Oliveira is like, I feel like he represents jiu-jitsu, whereas Dustin is a black belt at jiu-jitsu also.
Yeah, Oliveira's the jiu-jitsu guy. It's like Damian Maia versus anybody. You know what I mean? Damian Maia.
Yeah. Like, please, God, just let him get the underhook. If he could just get this underhook.
Get that single. Single. He's watching fight Rory McDonald and shoot takedowns in the middle of the cage until he gets exhausted. And you're like, stop.
Man, Damian Maia broke my heart a few times. I'm not gonna lie. More than once.
Is there a level of jiu-jitsu that you can get to in mixed martial arts specifically to where it's kind of good enough to be able to survive in this fight with this jiu-jitsu specialist to where you can land your strikes? Something like Colby Covington versus Damian Maia, where like if the jiu-jitsu guy can't get to his game, he's just literally not going to win.
If he's just a jiu-jitsu guy, like if he doesn't like really practice his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu with striking involved, if he's not really good on the cage, you don't even have to be that good at jiu-jitsu to nullify jiu-jitsu. And I think that's the lesson that we really learned after Royce Gracie. So Royce comes along, nobody knows anything about jiu-jitsu, and he subs everybody, right? But the next evolution in the UFC was wrestlers. Don Fry comes in. Then here comes Mark Coleman, and he reigns for a little while. And what those guys showed that if you know how to grapple and you can at least be familiar with what subs and sweeps are coming at you. If you can grapple for position and strike, you really don't have to know that much about jiu-jitsu to be a super high level grappler.
Well, the question, like,
In a fight
who beats Adesanya? What jiu-jitsu guy beats Adesanya? None. There's not one jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC right now that can beat Adesanya just because they can't.
They can't wrestle at that level. They can't engage the range at that level.
But you can say that about every skill set that has an X in the sport, though. Like,
it's true.
You can learn counter wrestling and kickboxing movement that stops you from getting taken down by just good wrestlers who don't have good kickboxing and stuff.
That's a great point.
Kickboxing is the same way. You know what I mean? Same exact thing. Like, you can learn enough footwork and wrestling to stop someone from striking with you. So yeah, it's 100% true. But I think it's true about everything as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way easier to learn the defense, right? It just seems like everybody has picked up leg lock defense, right? Way easier than the offense. You still see, Sean knows he's easily being the best leg locker of all of us. Like, he sees, I'm sure, just tons of just bad breaking mechanics left and right when he goes places. But everybody kind of understands how to heel slip now, which way they should be turning from the reaps. And I think learning counter wrestling is 1,000 times easier than, hey, I'm going to learn to wrestle. Man,
I'll be putting out some leg lock videos sometimes, and I let it go. But I think in my head, man, I hope this don't come across Sean's feed. So I know he ain't gonna like it.
I'm gonna send you like a nasty little text message at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I hope Sean don't see this one, dude.
What is this? At 3 a.m. I tried to sleep on it. I couldn't sleep. Had to send the message. No, but seriously though, the counter, like, so I was talking to you guys earlier about that same blue belt that wants to be an MMA fighter. It went up to Ryan Hall's. Here in Atlanta, we have a wrestling gym called Morris Fitness. It's an amazing wrestling gym. They have several D1 guys. Like, just, it's insane. Like, Kevin Sherrill, my purple belt that's in the PGF, was a coach there at one point in time. Multiple time state champ, D1 wrestler, the whole nine. He goes to their things on Sundays, and these guys have trouble. Like, he's wrestling with D1 guys. He's never really wrestled in his life. And it's like all he has is this sort of defense and counter wrestling. And it's not that he's taking them down and like messing them up. It's that they're just not doing it to him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, everyone's like, oh, it's so remarkable. These D1 guys are having trouble taking him down. And I'm like, well, he's a remarkable athlete with a reasonable amount of defense. So, he's equally hard to tap. He's equally hard to knock out. His entire training up until this point has mostly been like how to not get caught up so that when he does develop some unique offense to himself, he can apply it and not get caught up somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Dude, isn't that really the message of martial arts as an instructor, though, in the first place? Is like, first I want to teach you to become invincible, and then I'll teach you how to break people off or how to knock people out or how to take people down or whatever. But first, you're not gonna be able to do any of that if people are just putting you on your back all the time. You're not gonna be able to do any of that if you're leaving your heel behind on every open guard exchange, So I really think that maybe that's the real message. Salo lays that out in his Jiu-Jitsu University book, that the white belt is the belt of surviving. And then the blue belt's the belt of escaping. And then we start worrying about becoming an offensive player in the last three divisions of the sport. But yeah, I hear you, Sean. I hear you don't have to be very good. You don't have to be very good to shut people down. You just got to be good at shutting people down.
So that kind of brings me full circle here, back to Ryan Hall. Does that make it an interesting match with Darrick Minner? The fact that he's had 26 wins and 22 are by submission kind of shows that he's a decent grappler, especially for MMA. Does that make it interesting for Ryan Hall? Because I feel like kind of the main way of his path to victory is submission. And if he can't get the submission on someone that's just familiar enough to stay alive, does that make it interesting?
No, it makes it interesting because we're going to see Ryan Hall get a submission against a guy who thinks he's a submission artist, probably. But Ryan's specialty is jiu-jitsu, and he's not just a specialist because he likes it. He's a specialist because he's one of the best in the world at what he does. And if Minner, I try to think of his name. I keep trying to say Darson Hemmings for some reason. I don't know why. If Minner tries to take the fight into the one place where Ryan will win, then that's a really poor strategy. He needs to keep that out of the grappling realm altogether. And to me, that's the story of the fight. So is that story interesting? If yes, then you're going to love that fight, I think.
Oh,
Any other final thoughts?
That's a great way to put it too. Like, it's not about taking the fight to like the place where you're the most advantageous, or even taking it to a place where you're like fighting a guy. It's about not letting the fight go to a place where that guy will win. Like, not like, like you're gonna go anybody in his division. I'll say this, maybe this is a hot take. Anybody in his division that goes on the ground with Ryan Hall and decides to stay down there, we're gonna stay down here and I'm gonna grapple with you, I'm gonna beat you down here, is going to lose that fight.
Yeah.
Because this guy, like, there's a skill gap that exists between being able to not be tapped by somebody and then being able to tap that person or win against that person. There's a skill gap there, right? Like, oh, I rolled with so-and-so world champion. He didn't tap me. Well, that's great, man. Did you have any offense at all? Probably not, right? There's a huge skill gap there. Right, that gap for Ryan Hall and those other guys in his division is an ocean. Like, we're talking about one of the absolute greatest jiu-jitsu guys of our time, maybe?
Of our generation, for sure.
Like, when you make so BJJ Fanatics instructionals, Brandon has one. I just did one recently. When you make that instructional, you can go into it with a couple of different mindsets. When people ask me, what mindset did you go into it with? I wanted to create an instructional that timeless, something that will be like, if you talk about the subject matter, that instructional is in that conversation forever, right? Ryan Hall did that before I even started training jiu-jitsu. Ryan Hall's triangle DVD is timeless. It's still good now. Like, Danaher got a triangle DVD. Okay, cool. Have you seen Ryan Hall's triangle DVD? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally, this guy is one of the best guys of our time. Who's closing that skill gap in an MMA fight? You know what I mean? Like,
nobody that's
tough.
currently in that division. I'd like to see Kron Gracie get in there with him. I want to see Gary Tonin get in there with him. I think now we got some discussions about what could happen in a ground fight. But I don't see anybody else even close to that level.
And certainly not this guy he's about to fight. So it's an interesting thing for me. It's interesting. Ryan Hall's always interesting for me. As a matter of fact, I'll watch any high-level jiu-jitsu guy. I watch freaking Adolfo. I watch them all, dude. I like it all. You know what I mean? On the off chance that they do actually sub the guy, I'll watch Adolfo throw strikes for 5 straight rounds and hope that he goes for a guillotine.
Just for the prayer.
I mean? Like, please just do something on the ground. I
All
watched
you need
Damian
is
Maia
one.
get beat up.
All you need
I watched
is
Damian
one.
Maia get beat up for years with tears in my eyes. When he went to 170 and started tapping people, redemption. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's interesting. I think it's interesting.
All right. So we've got a clear winner here, guys. I wasn't adding as many points with the sound buttons, but I was keeping track. And the clear winner goes to our man, Sean Applegate.
Dude, Sean's
Undefeated,
beast
baby.
in this, dude. I feel like Sean's
Undefeated.
won, like, he's been on like 3 or 4 times, and he's won easily half the time.
Expect this energy at the PGF, boys. That's all I'll say.
Respect.
He won by 1 point today, and I gave him 2 points for the echo and that moment.
Oh, you got the echo. Who got second?
Invest
Skaff.
in yourself.
Skaff got
That's all
second.
I'm saying.
How about
Dude,
his
you got pooted, dude. You were talking about how awesome Cody
won.
Garbrandt's been.
Yeah, I fumbled the ball right there. That was a big turnover.
Fumble, bro.
I let that one go.
Yeah.
I let that one go.
All right.
You know what, dude? That's why you play the game. We come for these lessons, you know.
That it?
Hey, we gotta give Sean his solo here.
Yeah. You want to plug anything, Sean?
Hey. Yeah, sure. So obviously, like, all the guys from the gym, all the guys from 10th Planet Atlanta, they all have Instagrams, they all have stuff. Ryan Aiken, Chase Hanna, all these guys. If you guys don't follow them already, please go follow them. Huge things in 2022. Huge things lined up in 2022. Ryan's already the middleweight CJJ champion. He's got this fight with Shad Evans coming up on December 18th in Mexico. It's on UFC Fight Pass if you don't want to fly to Mexico and watch it, which you should. But UFC Fight Pass, check Ryan out. He's awesome. Like I said, Chase Hanna, some of these other guys, Kevin Sherrill, Kevin Beering, going to be in the PGF. Watch the PGF. I promise these guys are going to put on an exciting show. Elijah Carlton. Please support these guys. They're all trying to make a career out of jiu-jitsu. Also, like, my personal sponsors, like, I got to thank, like, Phalanx, of course, like, you know, Savage Soap, Dasu Sara, like all the people that have supported me over the years and kept me on top. And then of course, thank you to Brendan and Skaff and Keelan, all of you guys for having me back on. I always enjoy coming on and just chopping it up with you guys on a Thursday. It's fun. Thank you guys.
All right. And that's another episode of Around the Mat. Thank you guys for listening.